Well, good evening. This is Chief Meteorologist Alex Kirchner, the 13 Weather Authority, and we are tracking possibly a few days worth of rain, storms, potentially even some severe weather. Summer timeout, just how many times we could see severe weather and what are some of the pitfalls preventing possibly these severe storms. By the way, we are live on our app, on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page, as well as on our website. So multiple ways that you can stream us anytime that we are live here. And by the way, on our Facebook page, I am keeping an eye on some of the questions and comments. So if you're wondering anything about the next few days, shoot a comment over on our 13 WREX Facebook page on the live feed, and I'll respond to that as quickly as I can. So first up, again, we've got daily chances for rain showers and thunderstorms. Each day does bring a low risk for severe weather. Not completely cut and dry each of these days, not like we're looking at severe weather guaranteed 3 days in a row, but that is kind of the high-end scenario here as we go into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Also, thankfully, it's not going to be a washout. We aren't going to see rain showers from start to finish. There will be plenty of dry time over the course of the weekend. It's just we'll have to dodge this rain, dodge these storms every so often. So as you look at tomorrow, it's mainly during the evening that we have this severe weather risk. You can see it is at a 1 out of 5 when it comes to just the chances, the possible severity of all of this. Much better chances across Iowa into tomorrow evening. Now, what we're going to see is just how those storms hold together as they move from Iowa into our backyard as we go into Friday night. Now, keep in mind, as we go into the night, things are starting to stabilize. We begin to cool off, so the environment for storms may not be the greatest. So there definitely is the possibility we could see some wind and hail threats that may be damaging. But again, we're going to have to watch and see just how well these storms hold together. So we could end up being on the outside looking in as we head into, again, late Friday evening, Friday night. Then for Saturday, we're at a 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather, much more likely across our backyard, but it depends on where storms start and how they hold together. So again, it could be similar for Saturday night where we're a bit on the outside looking in and we end up being fairly dry for late Saturday. However, the environment is a little better for severe thunderstorms. So if they manage to cross our backyard, better chance at severe weather going into late Saturday. Then for Sunday, similar situation. We'll have to kind of wait and see how storms do, not only Saturday night, but again Sunday morning. That'll determine if we got the environment or not for severe weather into Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. Imagine this like a set of dominoes set up, or we kind of have to wait for one to fall to see how it'll impact the others. And that'll, again, allow us to determine if we're going to get that severe weather or not. So you're going to want to pay attention. That's the big thing to take away, because you can see there's multiple days, lots of moving parts here, and we may not know what the environment is going to look like until we get closer to it, because we have to wait and see, how do the storms behave the day before, the night before. That'll set us up for either strong storms or not. So again, this is going to be like a bit of a set of dominoes here over the next 3 days to see how things are going to go. So here's future track. I can start with tomorrow morning is going to be dry. So we start out dry tomorrow. Then we head into the afternoon, light rain shower activity. So we're not going to see storms all the time with this too. So Friday afternoon does have these light rain showers, really not that threatening. By about 4 o'clock, they may be out of our backyard. So between about 1 and 4, we've got some light rain. And then between about 4 to 8, we should stay dry. But then here we are at about 8:30, some showers and storms bubbling back up again. And look to Iowa. That's where the severe weather is ongoing. Does it hold together as we get closer to us as we go into Friday night? You can see that future track, not too impressed by it, but that's what we're watching for. Do we see just regular thunderstorms, or do we get some severe weather the deeper we go into Friday night? So far, future track not really indicating that. Saturday looks fairly quiet, may have some storms or showers starting to pop up or trying to form. Again, the environment is pretty juicy for them, so if we see anything fire up Saturday afternoon, we really got to watch it closely. But overall, future track not terribly impressed for Saturday afternoon. There's not a good trigger to really get storms going, so that may end up saving us. We got a fairly dry, warm, humid, windy Saturday afternoon. Now here we are going into Saturday night. Look to Iowa again. Where do those storms develop? How do they end up holding together into our backyard? Even if we don't see severe weather, this is where we could get a pocket of heavy rainfall, which may set the stage for further flooding as we get deeper into the weekend if we get a lot of torrential downpours to form. So that's another threat we're watching, not just severe storms, but do we get a lot of soaking rain that comes through at times, not only Friday night, but Saturday night. So that's kind of the indications here for Saturday night. Then we head into Sunday. Here's some more showers and storms, not necessarily severe or threatening, but if this ends up kind of cooling us off and taking some of the energy away from our atmosphere, Sunday afternoon may end up being fairly quiet as a result. So you can kind of see how each of these rounds of storms will kind of set up or not set up the next round when it comes to severe weather. So that's kind of how things are playing out. And like I mentioned, there may be repeated rounds of heavy rainfall. We'll really have to see where they line up, because if certain spots just get hit over and over with that rain, we could be looking at 2+ inches of rainfall, which may lead to a low flood risk. So that's another thing we're monitoring, is just where do we see these storms hit repeatedly, if they even do. As a result, we'll have to keep an eye on the rain totals with all of this. So I think in summary here, best chance for severe weather will be late Friday evening into Friday night. Same for Saturday. These are kind of your severe weather windows when you want to be paying extra attention. Sunday, better in the afternoon to evening, but again, it really depends on what comes through Saturday night into Sunday morning. So make sure you've got ways to get alerts all throughout the weekend. You might be watching us here on the WREX 13 Weather Authority app. We've got a weather app specifically just for yours truly, as well as meteorologist Claudia Olick and John Juergens, and of course, all those tools at your fingertips. That'll alert you if we see severe weather, whether it's a watch, it's a warning. That'll keep you up to speed. We're also putting up videos all the time, little forecast briefings right there at the top of the app. That way you get all the latest information from us, and we'll keep you up to speed just on how things are going over the course of this very busy weekend. So we got a bunch of questions and comments, again, live here on Facebook as well as YouTube. So I'm going to go through some of those now. Jill's wondering, what are the chances of getting a softball game in tomorrow night in Durand? They're looking okay depending on the timing. If you kind of saw what happened on Future Track, we got a window from about 4 to 8 that things are looking fairly dry. And then after 8 o'clock, that's when things may start to get rainy or stormy again. So I would say early in the evening, you got a decent chance at some dry weather. Later in the evening, that's when things start to turn a little on the stormy end overall. Kara's wondering here, hope there aren't any tornadoes. And that was one thing I didn't really go over too closely here. Friday, it'd be wind and hail. So we're not too concerned about tornadoes out of that. Wind and hail for Friday, just the way the storms are setting up, they're not necessarily going to be closer to the surface where they really could get spinning, rotating, producing severe weather when it comes to tornadoes. So I don't think we'll see that for Friday night if we get that severe weather. Saturday and Sunday, tornadoes in play. So that's kind of the basic breakdown. We've got heavy rain, damaging winds, hail, and that tornadic threat for Saturday and Sunday. Again, depending on how those storms track and how they get going. So let's see. Sally mentioning here, happy birthday. Birthday is today. Hoping to go out and celebrate this weekend. Hope the weather won't be so bad. Yeah, you might have to really be watching the forecast, as you get up tomorrow morning, as you get up Sunday morning, adjust your plans, that kind of thing. That said, we do have, again, a decent chance that most of Saturday ends up staying dry, and we don't see anything coming in until Saturday night. So maybe adjust your plans around that. And I'll keep my fingers crossed, because I definitely don't want to be dealing with severe weather all weekend either. I don't think anybody really does. So I hope for your sake, some birthday plans, things like that, things go smoothly. Jennifer wondering here, how does Pecatonica look for the days to come? On and off rainy with some storms. So that's kind of the general outlook. When it comes to specifics for any kind of severe weather threats, you can see them listed on the screen here. But again, plan on some on and off rain. So we've got a round coming through of just rain for Friday afternoon. Friday night could be stormy. Saturday could end up fairly dry, but Saturday night may turn back to stormy. And Sunday could be on and off rainy and stormy. So that's kind of the overall basic breakdown as we go throughout the course of the next few days or so. Let's see. Kevin mentioning Glad the snow is gone. Maybe out storm spotting. Definitely appreciate storm spotters who are trained and able to pass along those severe weather reports. Kevin also mentioning here, Storm Prediction Center saying could have flash flooding. So I did have that up on the previous slide here, that previous graphic, that we've got a low risk for that, for flash flooding too. And I think that'll be really dependent on, do we have storms kind of hitting the same spots repeatedly? And if you manage to catch Future Track while you're tuning in and watching, you probably saw just how messy and all over the place these storms are lining up. So it's one of those situations where, again, as we get into it, we'll really start to see, all right, do we have training thunderstorms? Do we have rounds of heavy rainfall? And by training, I mean, imagine one thunderstorm and it goes over one spot and then goes away. But then there's a second thunderstorm that's right behind it, hits the same spot, and it's like a train. A train of storms over the same spots repeatedly results in a pretty decent risk for that flash flooding. Pretty hard to determine where that lines up until we kind of get closer to the thick of it. So that's where we can say that we have a general risk for, like, low risk for some flooding or flash flooding, but getting those details to line up, we might have to wait till we get a little closer to the storms, but be ready for that heavy rain just in case. Wendy's wondering about Saturday morning when it comes to rain chances. I think Saturday morning is going to end up being fairly quiet. So any storms that come in Friday night are out pretty early, and then things really don't look to organize themselves again until later Saturday. So, if you're going to be out and about early Saturday morning, you may end up kind of avoiding all of that. Bren's wondering what time on Sunday, and Sunday I think is frustratingly one of the murkiest days out of this forecast, because we could be seeing storms and showers right away in the morning and then not much in the afternoon, or vice versa. It really all depends on how things set up the night before. That'll determine when we have all that activity coming through on Sunday. So it might be early and kind of late in the days, how some of the models are trending right now. So Sunday morning, it says have some showers and storms, may catch a break in the afternoon, and then we'll have to see what moves in from the west going into Sunday night, Monday. So be ready for just a little bit of everything on Sunday. Again, I wish I had more specific timing on all of this, but Sunday, I think, is one of the more murkier days out of this forecast. Brooks wondering what level are the storms? I'll show you the map in just a second, but we are looking at about a 1 out of 5 for Friday and then a 2 out of 5 for Saturday and Sunday as of right now. Jayla's wondering here, driving to Milwaukee Saturday afternoon from Freeport, be back late between midnight and 2 a.m. It looks like that's when the worst, when's the worst timing for all of this. I think heading out Saturday afternoon, you're probably going to be looking all right. I don't think we'll see a ton of activity firing up later or into the afternoon hours. When it comes to Saturday night, I would definitely check the radar before you even leave Milwaukee. Just see what's coming into Milwaukee, what you might be running into on the highway, because that could be a good time for when those storms are really starting to come through, and we don't want you driving into that, especially after dark. So I would recommend pulling up the radar as you're getting ready to, okay, maybe this is a good time to leave Milwaukee, and just see what might be on the way with all of that. Christina's wondering, is this going to be a hot summer? I believe we'll have some hot days. That's about as far as I want to go about how hot the summer will be. I think it depends a little bit on how fast La Nina kind of takes over. We're transitioning from El Nino to La Nina, and I think that transition will go a big way into determining just how hot we're going to get. And I will say, it's like when people ask us about the winter. We can give you some general trends, but you be ready for the specifics, which we get every year. Occasionally stormy, definitely plenty of hot and humid days, and definitely looking at a lot of warmth at night. That's about as far as I can go when it comes to details just yet, because we're still a couple months out, but I believe this Climate Prediction Center, let me pull this up here, because now I'm a little curious. I think overall the next few months, no matter what, was looking like leaning above average, and that's kind of the case as things stand right now. So there's a good chance that we see warmer than usual temperatures, but that is not a guarantee on every single day of the summer. There still might be some cool ones in place, that kind of thing. So looks like we've kind of gone through some of the questions and comments here. We're going to run through our different little weather slides in just 1 second, to kind of rehash some of all of this. Let me get right back on the slide that I need. Give me 1 second. Got to readjust this one thing. You can kind of see a little preview of what we're expecting for Saturday. Up to 80. I think frost is out of the forecast, though, so we'll still need to update that. But, yeah, we are looking at the 80s, though, for Saturday and Sunday. That is going to be some pretty comfortable conditions if you like summer weather. So if you're just joining us live here on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on our apps and our website, keep all of those in mind in case you ever need to get the latest weather information, that kind of thing. If there's storms coming through, got multiple ways that you can see us on streaming in addition to over the air. We got daily chances for storms and showers coming through, so I know a couple people were wondering about what kind of threat levels are we looking at over the next couple days. 1 out of 5 for Friday night. So we may see, when we talk about 1 out of 5, it's a couple scattered severe storms, not necessarily anything widespread. And we're looking at wind and hail threats with this. So we may see a few severe storms try to work their way towards us, but you can see listed here, it all depends on if they're able to hold together from Iowa. Then for Saturday, better environment for severe storms, but a lot of it will come down to where storms are able to fire and hold together and kind of line up, because we could end up seeing a lot of activity trend more towards central Wisconsin or towards us. Again, it'll kind of depend on where some of these boundaries line up as we get into Saturday. All severe weather threats would be possible. That would include tornadoes, but again, we have to kind of see just where all of this holds together and lines up as we get into Saturday itself. I do think it might be a little later in the day, evening to night for Saturday, and then Sunday, all really depends on what happens the night before and the morning of. If we get a lot of stormy activity during those time periods, that might settle the atmosphere down and kind of reduce that severe weather risk. Or it might be vice versa, where if we don't get a ton of that and the atmosphere is able to really recharge, things could get a little hairy as we head into Sunday. All severe weather threats would be possible into the end of the weekend. When it comes to future track, be ready for rain Friday afternoon. Nothing severe, not necessarily looking at storms, but you can see that we do have at least one round of rainfall coming through during the middle of the afternoon. Early evening to middle of the evening looking dry. Then as we get to about 8:30, 9 o'clock, may start to see some showers and storms bubble back up again. Note the strong activity over Iowa. That is what we're watching to see if it's able to kind of hold together into our backyard. That's for Friday night. Saturday looking fairly quiet. Then as we head into Saturday night, there, at least on this trend of future track, showing some stronger storms bubbling up and then heading towards us. And this is where we may get into some of that territory. Do we end up getting some flash flooding out of this? Is the rain heavy enough? Does it track through slow enough? Kind of a short window here for Saturday night. That is a round that we're watching closely for any kind of severe weather. Then into Sunday, may see some on and off showers and storms. So a lot of back and forth here, not necessarily raining the whole time, but a lot of back and forth. And it's really going to come down to, again, timing and placement, and will these different rounds of showers and storms able to build off each other or not when it comes to setting us up for any kind of severe weather. And then be ready, even if we don't see severe weather, for heavy rain. We've got a low risk for some flash flooding or even just river flooding in general if we manage to get some pretty hefty rain totals over some concentrated spots. So that does it for our little severe weather outlook over the next couple days. Of course, we will be doing these live briefings on streaming over the next several days or so to keep you up to speed on each of these rounds. As you can see, it's a pretty busy forecast, so make sure you're tuning in for this additional coverage with meteorologist Claudia Olek, John Juergens, and myself over the next 48 hours, 72 hours. We'll keep you up to speed all throughout Friday and beyond with all of this. And then, of course, coming up in about an hour on 13 News at 10, we're going to be live on the air tracking the latest developments. How are the different models trending? Are they leaning in one direction or the other? I'll have updated information tonight at 10 o'clock. So thank you for joining us here on this live stream. Keep this in mind for the future, and we will definitely be in touch over the next 72 hours when it comes to that pretty busy forecast. We'll see you tonight for 13 News at 10.